and welcome back to the Giant Beastcast. Very excited today for a number of reasons. We had the first snow fall over here in New Jersey. That was very exciting. It is Thursday doing this live. Friday if we were still in our normal slot, but it's December 10th, near December 11th, getting near the holiday season. Happy first night of Hanukkah to everybody out there. It is episode 290th. Wow, closing in on 300, a big achievement. And we have very special guest, Ron Funches, with us again. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I hope so. It's great to have you here.
It's good. It's bittersweet to be here because by coming here, it means I already know what we talked about, which means when this podcast drops, I won't have a reason to listen to it, which means I'll have a Beastcast to miss, and I never want that.
Oh, that's so sweet. You know, Ron, I love having you on because I love the positive vibes. I love, it's a time where it's very stressful. Holiday season very stressful. The entire world very stressful, and I genuinely enjoy the positivity. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and look at that. You got to get introduced first now because we're doing video podcasts, and I can't we can't do the coy, hey, it's Alex, it's Jeff, and you stay quiet. So you get introduced first. Also very special. But Alex, you are here as well.
I am here. And Ron, if you could just do us a solid and still download that episode, that helps us.
That's right.
Make sure you download it maybe a couple times. That'd be great.
And and send it to all your friends and have them download it and start your bots up and just click a bunch. Just endless clicking. Just click a bunch. Jeff Backlar, you are here as well.
Hey, what's going on? I have left the Cyberpunk and I'm here to talk the Cyberpunk, my Cyberpunks.
Okay.
All right.
Cyberpunks.
I feel good.
We are absolutely going to get cyberpunking in a bit here for not the first time for us here, but we're going to go over some of that cyberpunk in a bit. But before we do that, Ron, what's going on in life?
Yeah.
Ooh.
How you doing?
Explain it all.
You lead off the show today.
I'll tell you what's going on in life. Just trying to navigate this holiday season. It's different, trying to still bring some traditional fun into my son's life and get the tree and everything, but trying not to spend too much money on presents and things of that nature because I feel like the winter is going to be harsh. And so I want to keep my funds liquid and available for whatever may pop up. If there's not a jobs available, things to get locked down at a moment's notice, especially here in California. But I'm mostly cautiously optimistic about life. I'm happy. I'm playing a lot of video games, especially on Twitch. Been playing a bunch of I played Call of Duty with Jeff and Abby a couple days ago.
Where can people watch you on Twitch?
Ron _Funches.
I did it.
There are two accounts. There's Ron Funches and Ron _Funches, both of mine.
Oh, okay.
I forgot the password to the Ron Funches one.
Wait, I have a question about that.
Restarted it.
You can't.
They have emails that let you get those passwords back sometimes, but do you not have that email?
That could happen, but I just said
that's what I want to know.
Move forward.
All right.
Before we move forward, let's talk. But so wait, because you said that on the stream the other night, and I just let it go by. Of course, in my head, I'm like, oh, he didn't need to do that. But what was the process? You were like, what's quicker? What's less of an inconvenience?
I want to do it now. I want to start streaming right now. So do I want to go through this account recovery back and forth and figure out how to do it? Or do I just want to go ahead and just change the name and start fresh? The old account only had like 2,000 or 3,000 followers. And I was like, I think I could beat that. Let me just get back at it fresh.
Man,
it has led to people trying to raid the old account. Apparently, they've told me that. But, that's fine. If you truly love me, you'll find me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really good test of your loyalty, of like of your audience's loyalty, right? Like, are you gonna come follow me after I do this wild card?
So I look forward to watching you on Twitch on the real _Ron _Funches, the real _Ron _Funches 6969, the real _Ron Funches exclamation point as we slowly move forward.
That's funny that you bring up though, because there was actually someone who had been using my face and name to do a scheme on Facebook
What?
to say that
Really?
like I was giving away $10,000, and some people kept sending, a couple of my friends sent me this laughing, and then on my Twitch a guy was like, "Hey, do you know about this?" He's like, they told me I won and I gave them my information."
Oh,
And
that's
I was like, I didn't think I needed to address this, but first of all, I would never give you $10,000.
Yeah, right?
What was there at least a fun premise of why you were giving away $10,000? You just too much money, really. Just I have nowhere to put it.
According to that person, it said it wasn't from me, it was from the movies.
That's how they work. That's everything I've heard about the movie industry.
Very generous. Very
that is
generous.
By
So
law, they can
dumb.
only make so much, and then they kind of shave it off at the end.
Man, oh, that's a really good barometer for like really cutting away some of the people who I don't know, maybe need like a new test on the internet or something like that. Like, how do you fall for something like that, man? That's unbelievable.
I
And
don't know. I guess they
right?
thought that they were like, "You're nice. You might give away $10,000."
This doesn't require any kind of in-person follow-up. this is all I need to hear. Sign me up. Here's my social.
The worst part about it is they spelled Ron Funches with 2 S's. So
Oh,
to me,
that's
I
so
was like,
dumb.
"That's on you."
What you should have done is just kept going and be like, totally. Send me your I need your credit card and I'll put it into your account, your social security number. We'll get this all straightened out. Like, let's
No,
get.
thank you for reaching out to me directly.
Thanks for send me over your.
I'm gonna need a
birth
small
certificate.
deposit from you just to know that the account is open.
That's right. All right. Well, Ron, let's we're gonna dig into some Cyberpunk stuff here. So you pick a heck of a day because we got the Cyberpunk out this week. Have you touched it or played it at all?
I played it a little bit on PC and on Series X.
Okay, on both. Okay, and can you let's start with you. What do you think so far?
So far, I give it a solid, okay, maybe.
Solid.
Okay,
Okay, maybe.
That's fair.
All
I
right.
think that's the right
Maybe.
grade.
Okay.
That's the right score.
So what's putting you towards saying, oh, this is good, and what's maybe making you think, oh, maybe not so much?
Okay, I'll start with the positive.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
good.
I
Yeah.
like.
Yes.
What is positive about it to me is that it gives me some of the Fallout vibes, those RPG type vibes of like looting corpses. Whether I want to do stealth, do I want to go in and go guns blazing? I like some of that. I like some of the cyberpunk stuff of upgrading, and the fact that the way they like, oh, you couldn't see your ammo count until you got the upgrade to see your ammo count. To me, that makes sense thematically. I think the world is somewhat pretty, more in the daytime than the nighttime than I thought it would be. And those are my favorite parts so far. The story, I'm just starting, so I don't want to fully judge it, but I'm not hooked at it yet. But those would be the positives.
Okay.
Okay, let's stay on the
you're right.
positive. Let's stay on the positive train. I think
Ron, you are a bastion of positivity.
Yeah, I like this.
It is the best.
it's
Thank you.
positively buggy. No, it's
That would be one of the negatives.
I think it is. It has a lot of ingredients in this meal. There's a lot going on. They tried to put a lot of stuff in there. So it is dense with a lot of stuff. I think some of the designs are interesting. I like that you could drive a car. I'm sorry to say positive too.
You like that you can drive a car?
You can get in a car and you can drive around, and that's fun. And I like that you could use a sword. That's a lot of fun. I like using the sword. And I think some of the character creator stuff is pretty in depth, and that was fun. And the story's starting to pick up for me. It's starting to pick up. It's 10 hours in, and or 8 to 9, let's say, is when you kind of, for me, cross the threshold into like, oh, here's what we're gonna be doing in the game. Got it. And so then it started to pick up in a way to make the game feel like we're on track now. The rubber's hit the road. Let's start moving. Okay, now I'm switching gears into the other stuff.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'll kick some of this off, and then you guys
Go ahead.
pick it up. I don't dislike the game. I think it's okay so far for me. But aside from I'm gonna push the glitchy stuff aside for now, because I think that will be fixed in a lot of cases. But now that the console releases are out, and it's the PS4 and the Xbox One versions, the PS5 and the Series X versions are coming next year. So these are the last gen consoles, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But just in gameplay wise, that there was not a lot of traction there for me until about 8 to 9 hours in. I think stuff, and I was trying to think about it today and yesterday as we've been talking about this game a lot. And I think things like Fallout always start, or maybe to a fault, start off by introducing you to as a character who's an outsider in a new world. You start in the vault, something happens, and then you are the odd thing in this wild, out of control world, right? And you're kind of picking all this stuff up. In The Witcher, you're the only sane person in an insane world, right? You're the last person who understands monsters and this relic of the past. And in for better or worse, and not all stories have to do this, but in Cyberpunk, you're just kind of another person, not really special, which could be fine, but it just feels like you're going through some gun combat and some hacking stuff, and it doesn't. I feel like it's not saying a lot. There's not a lot of perspective there. It's just kind of living in that world, and that's fine, but it doesn't say a lot about what's going on. You're just kind of in there, and I feel like there's probably a lot to say. Like I feel like other games kind of are expressing some kind of commentary on it. But aside, and again, for like the first 10 hours, it's like, aside from, people have body augmentations in this, it's like, well, what's really going on in this world? Because it seems like a lot's different. And I didn't get a lot of that. So story-wise, now I think I'm starting to get into like, oh, this is what's going on in this world. Like, but it took a long time to get there.
But you're saying, so basically there's just like a long runway of just kind of existing and just kind of being a part of the chaos of that world, and not necessarily feeling like how you fit into it.
I mean, you're kind of like a low-level merc trying to rise up the ranks, and but by not having contrast in the world, I feel like you don't absorb, you don't get this kind of fish out of water sense. You're just living in this world, and I don't know, Jeff, you played, you're probably further than I am, right?
Yeah, I'm just under 30 hours.
Okay. Okay.
So like, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're definitely right about what your character perspective is. Like looking at this game, I do think all of the energy and all of the sort of, the investment in development definitely, is that of Night City, right? Like that is, to me, the star of the game. And I feel like nothing else kind of matters, right? Like nothing else is really that, not that it doesn't matter, but nothing really like rises above that threshold of importance in terms of like of what you play in this game, aside from maybe Keanu Reeves, to be totally honest. Like, and just to a quick hit on that, like going into it, I was a little on the fence, but like, I think he's great for what he is in this game. I think it actually is kind of a pleasant surprise, even though like, who could get mad at Keanu Reeves? Like no one's ever mad at that guy, but like, he just does the thing he's supposed to do pretty well. And I think as it's implemented into the game, I think it kind of nails it. But yes, like outside of your character and like the relationship to the world, like nothing seems to be more important than just kind of being in a cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what the game is, just like you're having a great time just because you're here, and that's all we really need to do. And I mean, personally, from my perspective, like that kind of is all this game really needs to do. I mean, I'm getting that shit out of this game, like as much of that shit as I want. And, I think for me, like it is undoubtedly the thing you look forward to playing the most. Like when I go back and boot this game up, I just want to be in that city. I think once you peel off that surface layer, it's sort of emotionally kind of empty. There's just not that much going on in Night City. As much as there is going on, there's not a lot going on. And that trickles down from all of these systems they have in place that are just, I am just not incentivized to really seek out anything. I have all this cool shit at my disposal, but I couldn't care less. And you know, the video I put up yesterday was like, hey, if you want to be that guy and you want to get into this game and, you know, augment every organ in your body and replace every bone with, you know, whatever it is, like if you want aluminum freaking skeleton bones, you can get that, right? Like you can go down to the nitty gritty. You could find what shoe has the most armor, you know, what bracelet will give you, you know, a better stealth percentage. Like you can do all that. You could also just go in and shoot everyone and not feel any sort of weakness and any sort of like, you know, pushback on any of that too, because this game's easy. Like you just kind of plow your way through every way you want to go.
There are difficulty settings, right? I assume you're playing on normal.
Yeah, I'm playing on normal.
Yeah, you got a lot of health items. I found.
I have like 111 health boosters. I've never had an issue where I ran out of health and I was desperately seeking. You know, sometimes ammo is an issue. But yeah, like, you know, that's the thing. Like I'm having fun with this game. I love the spectacle of it. I love the circus, but outside of that, I think the side story stuff is mostly misses rather than hits. You know, I'm playing it to just kind of see through the main storyline, which I think I'm pretty close to being done with. And then I don't know how much more time I'm going to spend in there.
So I think for me what's happening, and again, this is turning the corner now that I've got the MacGuffin, like I've got the thing that this is going to revolve around, and I've got the thing that makes you a unique character in this world. I've got all that stuff going for me now, so that has made the story propel further now. You know, but that's hours and hours in. But I think the thing that, now we'll get into some of the technical stuff. I want to be immersed in the city, but some of the gameplay mechanics and the bugs and all of this stuff keeps drawing me back out and pointing that finger at me and being like, remember, you're playing a game. And that's okay for a lot of people. That's fine. Yeah. Like, you know, a lot of people want a game system, but it's, you know, when you're doing stealth and you're doing that loop of like, throw the rock. Oh, what's that over there? And then, you know, okay, get behind them, choke them out and be like, throw the rock. What's that over there? And, you know, choke them out. And like a lot of the side missions have been that same loop. I'm waiting to dump the points in to be the cyberpunk stealth ninja I want to be, right? Like I want all those cool toys, and you get there hopefully in an RPG, but I don't know if you get there in cyberpunk, and I hope you do. Like I want the cool. I want to be the guy. I want to be Gray Fox from Metal Gear, right? Like I want to be like some cool cyber ninja in this thing eventually, and get there. So I hope I've gone through looking through the massive talent trees, and I think I don't know, Ron, have you looked inside those things? It's just the pool of perks that are available to you, and you know, I want the one that's like cloak, turn invisible, you know, and you know, stealth around and do all that stuff. And I hope it gets there, because that's in RPGs when you start that kind of exponential curve of becoming the most powerful thing on the planet. That's always, that power fantasy is always fun, and you know, in a game that is about body augmentation and all this stuff, I want it to go extreme. Like you meet some characters, and I talked to Gersman a bit about this. You meet some characters in that game that have taken it all the way, that are like, oh man, you're just a squishy brain on a robot now, and you're just
couldn't giant... say no, could you? You
right.
had to get
right.
You had to max out everything.
You're everything, right? And like I want to be able to do that hopefully at some point, and I don't know if you can yet. So here's hoping.
You want to get down.
Crossed.
You want to get down to the point where the only thing that's left of you is your ring finger and a nipple. Otherwise, all machine.
I'm still human, though.
Gotta need both of those to stay married.
Or I want to go the complete opposite route of like, wow, I never did one body augmentation. So like I could walk into a room and hit like the EMP button and everybody just falls to the floor and I'm fine. But you know, we'll see. That's a lot of RPG stuff, and anybody who's played RPGs, and this is kind of, you know, CRPG-ish, and some of its mechanics there. That curve can be slow. It can sometimes be steep. Depends how they balance the game out. So we'll see on that stuff. But let's talk a little bit about some of the launch issues this had. So people getting this on PS4, people getting this on Xbox One. Game kind of just came out at the time of this recording yesterday. A lot of different, I think people having a lot of different levels of patience for some of this stuff in the performance. Sounds like performance on the base PS4 is not so great.
No.
Sounds like some of the stuff even coming out of Xbox One not so great. And it runs on Pro and it runs on Series X, but I haven't seen people do comparisons yet on that. Have you guys seen anything there?
Some of that stuff's starting to come out. Yeah.
Okay.
Ron, you said you played a little bit on the Series X. Like, have you found like a noticeable difference there compared to your PC playthrough?
I mean, I'm playing on my PC. I'm playing it on an older card, on a Titan from 2016, and so it's pretty comparable. In some places, it's better when I play it on Series X. I am playing it on the quality mode that lowers the FPS. So it actually, I don't have a problem with the looks of the game that much on Series X. It clearly is a last gen title, though. It's obviously, it doesn't look anything like Call of Duty or anything that I've been playing on Series X or PS5 or close to, but I don't have a problem with it. My main issue has been a lot of things you guys are talking about, which is the lack of I'm only a couple hours in, maybe 2 at max, but just no direction of like, who am I? What am I doing? Why is this person calling me? Everyone's new to me, but also this person's very new to me who keeps calling me a lot for some reason when I haven't even done the first thing they've asked me to do. Yeah. So I don't understand a lot about what's going on at all. It does the thing that I hate, which it just feels like it does not value my time whatsoever. The very first thing I pick up is like almost a 2-page thing to read that doesn't really add much at all. It's just like what you're talking about. Like, some people get augmentation, some people don't. Is it good? Is it bad? Here's a list of points to it, and it's just like, oh, I didn't need to read any of this, and it was 2 pages long. Yeah. And I hate stuff like that.
Everyone knows everyone and doesn't know anyone at the same time. Like, that's the story. Like, this game, man, oh, you're right with like, it's everything is so front loaded, right? Like, you have the baby before labor, right? Like, that's how it works in this game. Like, you jump right into it, and this game just cannot stop stepping all over itself, trying to feed you everything at once. I mean, look, I feel like I've seen similar kind of behavior before, but nowhere on the level of just like how much it tries to do so fast. And the quantity of everything.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So the volume, it's so much stuff. And like Ron said, you're like, I don't know what anything is, but everyone seems to know me. And it's not great. It's not a great sort of out of the gate feeling for sure. Like the game is literally fighting itself to like find the right spot to like slide in another message from someone who wants you to like, buy a car from them or something like that.
It's like
all right.
They do that, and they do it explicitly. And if even if you're a couple of hours in, you've probably seen this already. It's like they have this montage that happens that shows you all this like stuff that happened in the intervening time since you got to Night City to where it brings you up to speed. And it's a montage. It shows you meeting people, the character going on like bus and doing all this stuff. And it's like
called Cyberpunk _hijinks.mp.
Right. And they show this montage, and it's basically like, it's like they took the parts of like a new relationship that are all the interesting parts of getting to know somebody and like all the fun times and the first 3 months of this relationship, and then skip to like year 5 where you're like, what do you want to do tonight? Want to go to movies? You want to stay in and want to watch Queen's Gambit or something? I don't know. And like they montaged all the high fives and all the like, this is my new friend, this is your friend, oh my gosh, your friend's so crazy, and be like, I don't know, what's
our first child.
Right, exactly. And be like, do you want to go out anymore? I don't know, we have kids. Like
they jump you right to the point where it's like, why don't we make love anymore?
Yeah.
But it does. I think I'm a little bit past that again, and now into the part where it's like, oh, okay, now we're up to the part maybe we should have gotten to 7 hours ago. Of this is why you're unique in this world. This is why it matters. Let's move forward. So that is hopefully a turning point, but it took a while to get there.
I tell you one thing I truly disturbs me in this game though.
Let's hear it.
The children. Have you any of you looked at the children?
What about the
I
children?
don't know what
Children.
models they've made for because at first I was like, oh no, it's just some cybernetic thing, and it's an adult that just chose to be small, and that's their thing.
Wait,
And so I'm gonna go talk to them, but no, it's like a children's voice, and they're like, "You're not my daddy," and then it's just like you're just the models that they use for these children are just adult models that they've shrunken a little bit. Like they don't look like kids at all.
I haven't seen a kid in the game.
I've seen so many kids.
There's just like tiny characters. And they all like I can't even talk to them because I'm frankly just scared. Like the one I went up to had like this crazy mask apparatus and was just like super intimidating and glowing red eyes. And I was just like, I could find another NPC to like, get in contact with here. But yeah, they are really kind of upsetting for sure. It's pretty weird.
The other thing I like is they have a lot of, or it seems like a lot, at least where I'm at, of gear you get, and that's all represented when you put it on. I think maybe the armor stats on it, and if swapping through that is sometimes a little rough. I could see a version of this game that has just like an auto-equip best that might be nice, because if you don't care what your character looks like, just put the best armor on for everything. The inventory stuff I find cumbersome. The way they handle it, the way the UI is designed is rough because you have a lot of stuff. You have a full inventory, you have a lot of stuff, and going through it and doing disassembly on stuff one at a time and deciding what to sell and not being able to mark stuff as like sell all. That's kind of cumbersome. But really the core of it, the RPG mechanics, the role playing as my character so far just hasn't felt, I haven't felt that invested in my character yet. Like I feel like I'm when the options come up that I can pass a check on, I pick the thing that I pass the check on, and I'm not sure if it is pushing the needle forward. I've replayed some scenes a couple of times, and it does seem like they just come back into a point again, right? Even if I pick the like nomad check or the tech check, it seems like it just funnels back into what happens if you pick the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few forks in the road where you can kind of manipulate a segment. I've heard people talking about long-term consequences
or payoffs
that sort of come to fruition. But I mean, I haven't really noticed. I mean, maybe if there was a way to somehow have like a workflow where you could like follow that, but I haven't noticed something that has been truly, transitional. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I hate going into the menus. I hate
rough.
Getting in there. Something about it just doesn't mesh with my logical sort of like brain work, where I'm just like, like I said, almost 30 hours in, and I'm just sort of like, every time I hit that, that menu, horizontal menu, I'm just like, wait, okay, what am I doing again?
I mean, no joke. There's at least 15. Like I think, and that's not hyperbole. I think there's about 15.
And they're all like oddly layered. Like everything either goes horizontal or vertical, and then sometimes they don't. And when you're using a controller, sometimes you can make your way over to a thing, and other times you have to use like the sort of manual cursor. It's not great, but like I said, thankfully you don't really have to spend a lot of time there if you don't really care about those granular details of what's going on. And with the whole notion of like the RPG-ness of this game not being that important, I feel like you can it's just not important,
Well, if you choose it, not like, I feel like for me, I want that, but like I can understand you can make it played as an action game, right? Right,
and that's my point. Like I want to be like, to me, this game is way more of an action game than it is kind of an RPG, and I want. I want to be not forced, but I want to be shown why I should be doing
that's
the
a
RPG
great point,
stuff, and that's what's not there.
Yeah.
And for me, it just turns into like this, eye candy thing that I've been playing this and enjoying it, and that's the fucked up thing about this. It's like this game upsets me in many ways, but I still am playing it because I'm finding a lot of fun in it, and that doesn't happen a lot. So that's interesting.
I mean, I haven't played it yet, and I'm debating when I'm even going to do that, because I think when I do
wait.
Yeah, like when I do, I'm eventually I'm going to want to play it on console, because that's just where I generally play the most of my games. But like, all the stuff I've seen, like watching you through the quick look yesterday, you know, the footage I've seen out there, obviously there's some very extreme edge cases of like, you know, base consoles and other things that are not working extremely well. But this feels like it has all the hallmarks of a game that they just took a long time to find the fun in while they were making it. Like they were throwing a lot of different systems at a wall. They're trying all these different things. And then when it came time to, you know, for the rubber to hit the road and to actually make the fucking game, they maybe did not have as much time to make all those things work in concert the way they maybe would have liked to. You know, I don't know this for certain, but it has that feeling of a game that was experimental for too long, and then they had to finally make a product, and it just doesn't seem like they got all the way there with it.
Yeah, something's going on where like the systems feel imbalanced and they don't feel like they talk to each other well.
Yeah,
and I think
disjointed.
That becomes kind of obvious where it's just like, oh damn, a lot of work went into this thing, but
not enough into this other thing. And also when these two things combine, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and you're
that's
just like,
the number one thing I feel. I don't mean to interrupt you, Jeff, but is that it's just like it just feels like their priorities of wherever they spent their resources or their time was out of whack to me. It just feels like they were like, the city look great, and then we got to get a bunch of dongs in and decide
so many dongs.
There's a dong quota. Yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves, and on the other end, I'm going to give a compliment because I like to be positive again, is the fact that there are more pubic hair options in this game than there are regular black hairstyles in this game.
Jeez.
When I go to make a character, and you tend to go to try to make a character that looks like me, and I couldn't because they just have a short fade. They don't have like a regular black hair natural haircut, but they have 5 different pubic hairs to choose from. Like, so to me, it's like, where's your priorities on this RPG? If you want people to dive in and get deep, and you're saying that you're going to have all these options, then there should be all these different hairstyles. And I want to give particular props to the game that I didn't think would have it like that, which is Immortals Phoenix Rising, which has amazing black hairstyles in it and made my character look wonderful. And I was like, I did not expect to see this in that game. So I want to give props to that.
That's awesome.
I think the tone of that game too. I mean, if you talk about like representational stuff, like there are clearly issues with that. You know, the way they represent trans people in that game, the way they do some of the voice options, deciding what your how people are going to gender you is like just misguided, and seems at the very nicest I could say misinformed. At the meanest I could say it's offensive. So
ill-conceived.
Yeah.
Since I don't work your industry, I'm going to say a lot of the things I see in that game seem to be purposely offensive, just in the way that every black character I've met in that game has spoken exactly how I thought they would speak as soon as I saw them. And anything I see like that is just like, oh, I get it. There's some edgelord shit in here from
a lot of edgelord.
Oh yeah,
going on here, and you can hide behind it and say that you didn't want to do it on purpose or you didn't know, but people can see it. Smart people know what you're doing.
Yeah. So yes, and like you run up against some of that stuff, and you're like, okay, like you sort of is like, is this the world that is this cyberpunk, whatever, is this just a cyberpunk world? And it's like, well, if you're like, I don't want to be here, then it's not working, right? If you're like, well, maybe you could be like, that's the fiction we're in. And it's like, well, if I don't like spending time in your fiction, or then that's not an enjoyable time, and that's going to differ for varying people and stuff like that. But like for me, enjoying the world is the whole thing, right? Is if you're in that thing, you're like, ugh, I'm going through the motions of choking out people, but every time I'm doing it, I'm not enjoying this atmosphere. Then there is a cool trait and I want that to be maxed out on this game. Like I want my Cyberpunk to just be cool as hell, and no matter what that is, and an enjoyable world. And it's not quite there yet for a lot of reasons. And so it's like it winds up being this kind of middling experience for me so far. I'm hoping that some of that's bugs get patched out. Maybe some of the just kind of more on its face offensive stuff is switched up, or people maybe it was not intentional, and if it was intentional, fuck you. But like if it was not intentional, maybe better angels prevail, and that stuff also gets fixed. But this game could use more work, I think is really my end take on it. Like without a doubt.
It could have taken many more months in the oven for sure. Like,
Could have gone that Halo Infinite route.
Yeah.
Did you know
I
that's
mean,
delayed?
I just I don't know, like talking to people, you know, I think it's very clear like this game had to come out in 2020. I also think there are like so many other variables at play with just like other outside obligations. I mean, there's a good amount of product stuff in there. There's probably make goods that had to be locked and loaded and sealed and delivered by the end of the year. Like, I'm sure. I mean, look, like eventually you got to put the game out, right? Like, I get it,
But again, that's why I would want to have a lot of respect for the teams that like for them delaying Halo Infinite. Be
Sure.
Like, this is so important to us that even though we're gonna have to piss off Doritos and Monster Energy drinks, you're gonna have to hold on to those cans for a full year. But this is more important in the long term to get this game right. And to be honest, like if you told me like, oh, we're going to make another Cyberpunk game, or even if you say, oh, I'm interested in another CD Projekt Red game, which like I wasn't the biggest fan of The Witcher, but I understood why people were fans of it. I understood things, and to me, that's what made me excited about this game. It was like, oh, you're getting me out of the fantasy realm, which I don't really have an affinity for, and into more of the sci-fi cyberpunk stuff that I do with a developer who I've trusted and heard so many great things about. So I'm buying it no matter what. Now, if you're telling me they're making another game, I'm like, I don't know about these people. I don't know what they do.
And like we've seen that before. There's a tail on some of that stuff because you see companies that, you know, and I hope they don't, but they go through some of these arcs. Like, you know, remember Crytek with Crysis, and everybody was like, "This, look at Crysis. It's a technical powerhouse. Look at the gameplay stuff." And I feel like it doesn't take too many stumbles, especially when your biggest thing is like, we are a technical powerhouse, and then something comes out and it's a little buggy, or it's a lot buggy, or the gameplay starts faltering. And like, you know, Far Cry went a different way, and you know, now Ubisoft makes them, and that's a totally different thing. But you know, that you have to keep that track record up if you're a big hitter in that space. And I agree. Like, if this had come out and was at the very least, again, putting some of the really just kind of offensive stuff aside, but at the very least, a knocked it out of the park technical powerhouse, I feel like people would still be talking about like, wow, this is the game you put on your TV to show people, and you call in the room and be like, look at this. But I'm not even sure it's visually quite there for me. Like, it's.
I mean,
you do? You think it's?
That's the one part of this game where I'm just like, oh wow.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, did you turn all those effects off, like the chromatic aberration and all that stuff? Because apparently that stuff all makes that game look a lot worse. I haven't
altered anything.
Okay.
Visually, I am playing it, ray tracing on ultra. The only thing I didn't do is there's a mode, there's like a ludicrous mode above ultra. I haven't tried out yet, but I bet the 3080 can handle it. But I've been playing it on that CX, on that 4K CX, and it looks unfucking believable.
Okay.
I mean, I'm definitely
impressed.
I mean, it gives me some hope for when the PS5 and Series X updates come out, that like at least those versions will look nice. You know, if not as good as the PC at its max settings, like it will still look good. But
it's so weird. The one wonky thing I'm getting is whenever like you have to turn on the mirror when you want to look at yourself, and whenever I have a reflection of just myself, game bugs out to like 2 frames a second.
Mine has done that also.
Isn't that weird?
It also did it in like a cutscene once or twice when it was like just kind of like started just chugging like sub 1 frame a second, and just was like, and then it caught up and it got itself together. But something's
going on there. I'm sure that's a patchable thing. And what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Oh, the DLSS seems to be working just.
So you have it on. You have it on most of the time?
I have it on auto.
Okay.
That's the default setting. And the one thing I did notice is HDR can be a little wonky through PC. There's 2 different HDR settings on it, and I had not even heard of them. I had to look them up and sort of understand what they both do. And if you just turn HDR on compared to the non HDR version, I think it looked worse until I really started to understand how to tweak, the paper white settings and then the other settings. I mean,
HDR,
I hate
yeah.
HDR adjusting in anything.
Yeah, HDR is not CD Projekt Red's fault.
We're all of a sudden like TV calibrators.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like it used to just be freaking, brightness. And now it's like, well, how do you want the edge and chromatic? Like, you're like, no.
I do think that is the one failing of HDR as a system is that it is never communicated well how that stuff is supposed to be made to look good. It is never communicated exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Like, yes, you're getting more color range. What does it actually mean in the grand scheme of things?
Well, no, like I'm with you, Alex. There's HDR. Good HDR, good implementation of HDR is fantastic. Like,
yes,
Dolby
it totally
Vision
is.
Show on Netflix is out of control.
Yeah.
But the problem, like you said, is that you just don't get a lot of good settings.
There's no feedback. It doesn't give
side.
you the feedback that you need.
Right. I have seen good tutorials that kind of like you are able to follow, with the logo things. And when HDR is implemented well and those settings work well, I think you can have good success with it. But a lot of these settings where the game just assumes you're some calibrator, it sucks. It totally sucks.
Can you see the logo now? Can you see is it too bright?
This logo should look barely invisible.
The one in the middle should look slightly, barely more invisible.
What does barely invisible mean?
This one is more ghost-like. This one is ectoplasm-ish. So
close your eyes for 3 seconds.
We need this logo to be ethereal. Can you make it ethereal?
Stare into the sun for 30 seconds, then blink your eyes at the TV. If you still see the logo, take it down to 5. So I'm just my kind of wrapping up thoughts here, not wrapping up, but one last thing I want to say is this is from Ronnie brought it up before. This is from the makers of The Witcher. I like the Witcher series.
Oh.
This game is so different from The Witcher. If you're looking for a Witcher-like experience, it is not this game. The Witcher, I feel like I can't even get to where they're similar. They both have menus, and
they are ostensibly role-playing games.
You can call your horse and you can call your car in this one, but
well, the thing is, I didn't necessarily want this game to be like The Witcher, obviously, but the thing that that has been said here that actually is like the most disappointing thing from hearing people playing about it is like, the side missions are why I liked The Witcher 3. Like the main quest was good, but like the stuff off the margins, the stuff that was going on in the background of that game, just like the side ventures of that game, I think are its highlight. And to hear that like that stuff feels kind of a melange of samey stuff, like doesn't really like that's really disappointing.
So I think what happens there is thinking about this is that The Witcher benefits from you being on a horse and kind of samurai style wandering into town and like what's happening. Go to here are these small communities you kind of wander into and kind of figure out what's going on. Those are my favorite parts of The Witcher. In the bigger cities where you're just bumping into NPCs are not my favorite parts. And that's all of Cyberpunk. You're in the city kind of stumbling into back alleys or stumbling into NPCs. And The Witcher is very much like, well, hello, stranger, what's happening? And like, why is this person missing an arm? Werewolf attacked him. And then you're like, well, that doesn't sound right. Let me investigate.
Also, The Witcher didn't have a situation where cops would just magically spawn in behind you the second you bump up against an NPC wrong. So like that's maybe also a knock against it.
At least by the enhanced edition. The Witcher also had its bugs early on.
We didn't even bring this up, but I want to hear what you guys think. Like, there needs to be a third person mode for this game. Like, I hope that gets
outside of the car. You mean?
Yeah,
because the car has third person, but the person,
third person. Yeah, I mean, and I hope it's like a GTA thing where it just finds its way in at one point. But I just think, especially with how much you're supposed to give a shit about what you look like. I mean, come on.
You want to see that penis dangling out of your pants like it shouldn't be. Like you want to see that full on.
I wonder how much
physics.
I wonder how much your character animates well in that world in third person. Like you avoid that entire problem being in first person, and like
it can't get any real. I mean, can it get a lot worse than what we're seeing? Like
not a lot worse.
I mean, look at have you again after after you're through the initial load on the mirror and you try to smile or pout or do any of those emotes, and your character does nothing. Like
it kind of looks like your face is just being like lightly electrocuted in different ways, so that it's sort of like grimacing different, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I was getting stuck in a situation where Misty, the Ripper Doc's assistant, her eye, it's in my video, you can go check it out. Her eyes were rolling in the back of her head a bunch.
Whoa.
And like she would like warp into view all of a sudden, and then like her eyes would be like up, and you're just like, whoa, you're like, why are your eyes rolled back in your head? What's happening?
That's Cyberpunk, baby. She put hot tumblers in her eye sockets.
I'm just like, oh my God. And then it is truly creepy and unsettling, especially when you have those cutscenes of like a really well rendered character and it like sits down in front of you and talks to you. Like that stuff's engaging. And then when you see their fucking eyes roll in the back of their head, you're like, Christ, what is happening? It is traumatic.
So yeah, that's some of the bug stuff that I hope gets fixed, but they can definitely pull you out of the game. I think I mentioned this on one of the other 7 things we talked about Cyberpunk on, but I had a very major, probably the major pivotal scene in the game where somebody was stuck sliding across the floor the entire time. And Baccalaureate, it takes place at the top of an apartment building where somebody very important is going on and
telling you stuff.
They're just sliding across the floor back and forth as they're having a super serious conversation, and my character's like, "Oh my God, this is so serious," and this dude is just like, stuck in a pose.
They do that scarecrow, like the scarecrow slide.
The T-pose,
And they're like, one character's like, "Get out of here," and he's like, slide his way out.
I saw a couple of streams last night from people playing on the console versions where they were characters like T-posing in random scenes, and if you walked up to them, the game would just flat out hard crash.
Yeah, so hopefully that stuff gets fixed.
The little trees thing is so weird.
That was
Have you
ridiculous.
seen that?
Yeah, that's fun.
I guess Jason lost that when he updated to the latest NVIDIA driver. Like that stuff was there, and then he did the driver update, and those tiny trees were gone. But so RIP tiny trees, I guess. But that was a while. That's a fun stupid. That's not like an angry stupid. Like I don't get mad at the game for that.
So I will say on my PC, I have been playing with not the latest drivers before yesterday, before I did the quick look. And the settings on the PC were just all over the place. Like it was running better in Ultra than it was on Ray Tracing Medium. Ray Tracing Ultra was running better than Medium. Certain parts of the city, I was doing fine. But then when I updated to the latest drivers, it became more in line with the performance I expected, where like, oh, I shouldn't be able to run this on Ultra. This now runs framey, and Ray Tracing Medium runs better. So it actually destroyed my performance a little bit on the best setting, but made it more of what I expect that game to be like and kind of line up. So hopefully more patches come through, driver issues come through. Game's coming in hot. Cyberpunk 2077, available on PS4 and Xbox One, with PS5 and Series X versions as free upgrades next year when those versions come out.
I mean,
they've said free.
Definitely free. I am not going to sit here and say, I don't know if they're coming out next year, but they have not given any dates.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that's going to happen.
We don't know. Yeah. And the PC version. So,
yeah.
More vagina options as well.
Yes, please.
Need it. Okay.
Genital variety, please.
No vagina options, penis options. Yes, vagina. I've never seen 2 vaginas that looked alike. It's gotta be multiple vagina options.
We need some sliders. Just stop with the numbers. Just give us sliders.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that is not
Sliders.
slang. I just mean the user interface sliders.
Penis 2.
Penis 3.
Penis 2.
So yeah,
Penis 2.
I'm kind of glad it's out in the wild, and seeing how other people are interacting with the game. I think everybody's mileage is going to vary, and their patience for what they like in games are going to vary, and we'll see how it goes, and see how CD Projekt Red responds. I believe this game is selling very well, so I don't think financially they're going
almost assuredly.
I don't think they're taking a hit on this one. But
you don't want to WWE 2K yourself.
It's what it says on the wall in a lot of studios, I hear.
We'll be playing Cyberpunk Battlegrounds next year.
Cyberpunk 2K77.
We'll see. All right. So, in addition to that, Ron, anything else you've been playing? Let's start there before we move on.
You're playing
into our
that
next
Call of
segment.
Duty, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been playing Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, a lot of the multiplayer, some with Jeff and Abby, some of the campaign as well. Been doing a bit of that. And I think, did my 10 runs in Hades. So I got through that. I think that's been about, and then, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Playing a lot
How you
of
liking
that.
it?
I love it. I really like it a lot. I mean, kind of the opposite of the Cyberpunk, where it's like, there's a lot of things I don't like, things that could have been done better here, but the overall charm of the characters, the overall direction of things are going. I love Ichiban as soon as I met him. So I mean, he's like pretty much the exact opposite.
Is it because he's the 40-year-old nerd?
Yeah, he's a big nerd. He loves games. He's been down on his luck. He puts his trust into people he shouldn't. I understand this guy completely.
He's very relatable.
100%. I love him, and it's pulling me through this part. I don't know if I'm on chapter 10, and so right now it's getting a little like I'm losing some interest, but him and the characters are pulling me. I think I'm going to see it out, especially now that I thought I was going to have to get done with it before Cyberpunk, but now I'm thinking that I'll be okay.
Wait for that patch. Yeah, you need something to kill some time. Ron, anything else?
That's been about it for me for playing games. Those are the ones
that's still a lot. That's a lot of games.
There's
a lot of games right now.
That's going to take up your time. Play any Destiny 2?
I just started downloading it because I'm trying to find something to play with my Twitch community.
Okay.
Instead of just been playing single player games all the time. And I played a bit of Destiny 2 a few years ago, but now seeing that hearing about the updates and everything, it made me want to get back into it. So it is currently downloading.
I have to download the new version tonight, the PS5 version. I'm gonna get downloaded. We're gonna play.
I heard it looks nice.
Yeah, and the load times. Brown was saying load times good. We're gonna do some of that tomorrow to take a look at. It was a Beyond Light, that new stuff. So in preparation for that, started playing some more Destiny 2. Wow. Talk about.
Can I ask you questions about it?
You can try, man. It is like going back to like your old elementary school and trying to sit in a little chair.
My main question would be: do I have to play through the other things?
No,
or
I don't.
Start.
So, like for content or level?
Forsaken King and all those other.
I don't think
Not
so.
for level. I think they auto level you to a point where you can just start fresh and be fine.
So yeah, everything is brought up to level 1050. So I don't know where you left off, but when I left off, I was like 300, baby.
Yeah, that's where I think I was.
And so your character is 1050, and all your gear is 1050, and you've got you've got all the. I assume you bought the Beyond Light stuff, right? So you have the DLC and all that stuff. I think you're just going to jump in there, and they'll just going to actually kick you off in that new campaign for that stuff. So they actually
because they removed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they
right?
deleted some old stuff, not the paid DLC stuff. So you can. I actually played through. Is it Forsaken? Is that the one that was before this? I know there's the Shadowkeep,
right.
Forsaken. I'm playing through that. If it's the one with the bounties, I'm playing through that, and I actually really like that one. So I'm glad I can go play through that and do that. And I haven't started the Beyond Light yet. I will tonight to get ready for tomorrow. But yeah, been playing a bunch of that, trying to get my head around Destiny 2 again. That's a trip. That's like it's a lot to take back in and be like, how's this? You've changed Destiny 2. I haven't changed, and like just trying to figure out how all the stuff works. They added new subclasses for some of the for the characters, and checking those out, and the way all the things work. I think I've got it back now. So yeah, I think you jump right in, Ron. You just boot it up. What class do you play?
I think a hunter, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you might want to catch up on what happened in Forsaken. Some bad stuff happened there for the hunter.
Just read a wiki. You'll be fine.
That's right. They delayed Halo. So we're gonna play some more of that. But aside Destiny 2 tomorrow, I'm actually curious to see the PS5 version, and I think I'm gonna try and get my family, my brothers, to play Destiny 2 and get them back on board and buy that stuff. It's a big commitment, to get everybody together to be like, we're gonna try this again. Get the strike team going. Alex, what you been up to?
A lot of the same stuff. I'm still working my way through AC and Yakuza 7. I'm on chapter 9. So, Ron, you actually got ahead of me. But I also took a break halfway through chapter 9 and just started doing the huge pile of side stuff I had floating around in that game. So I've been doing nothing but helping people with their sitcom problems for the last, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 hours of that game, and just doing a lot of business management. Man, the business management sub game in there makes you think it's going to be like just, it's a little bit, just making sure you hire some people and, make sure you're making a profit or whatever. And then there's a whole mini game in there where you are actually doing board meetings where angry people who have stock in your company start throwing questions at you. And it becomes you have to have the right staff members launch attacks at them to fight back against their questions. It's, there's a lot of layers to that thing in a way that I was not expecting, but it is actually still pretty fun. Just maybe a little more complicated than I wanted. But yeah, there's a lot to do in that game, so I'm still working my way through it. I'm actually started wrapping up the last few things I need to do in Spiritfarer.
Nice.
I want to be done with that before the end of the year, and I think I'm pretty close to the end of it.
I have to wrap that up too. I've only got like 2 people left on my little boat, and I think
I have 3 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and 2 of them are ready to go. So I gotta make the move there. I had the frog guy for a really long time on my boat. Like I didn't want to send him home, but then we had our big feast, and that he eventually moved on.
Wow,
so
he does eat a lot. So
he does eat a lot. So I don't have to harvest as much food now. At least
that's true.
And I also started playing a game called Signs of the Sojourner, which is a game that I'd had downloaded early in the year and just kept meaning to get to. But I started it. It is a card game for social dynamics, is how I would describe it. It is you play the game as a character who has inherited a business from their deceased parents. They're part of a caravan of, essentially retail outlets that fucking go around from city to city and, sell their wares and buy more wares from people in those cities. And the way you interact with people is just through conversation, but the conversations all are expressed through these, not card battles, but it's more like dominoes where you're trying to match symbols with their cards.
Okay.
So each card will have 2 symbols on it, one on each side. And the idea is that you're trying to get those cards to whatever's in your deck to line up with what they have.
Okay.
So you can complete the conversation tree. And that becomes harder as more conversation dynamics become available, because you only have like 10 cards in your deck to use at any given time. And each time you finish a conversation, you have to take a new one and replace an old one. And so the way you go out on the different trips, it's like a 5-week progression. And each week is a different series of conversations, interactions. And once you start encountering more characters, there's more variety of symbols you will need to match up. So you kind of have to plan for okay, who am I going to interact with on this trip? Who am I going to deal with? Who am I going to have conversation stuff ready for? Because if you have just a spread of every type of symbol, eventually you won't have enough to get through an entire conversation. So it's kind of about balancing what you want to bring versus just, kind of catching as catch can, you know what I mean?
So,
yeah.
So is it, is it a deck building thing? Are you
kind of,
okay,
but you're not building a large deck. You have the same number of cards to pull from at any given time.
Okay.
But it is about just sort of making sure that you're planning for what you how you want to approach stuff, who you want to talk to, what you're trying to get out of it.
Doing a lot of business gaming, huh?
Yeah, not intentionally. It's just kind of the way it went. But it has kind of a nice narrative to it. It has a nice art style, and it's also not very long. I've only played about an hour of it, and I feel like I'm about a third of the way through it. So I feel like you could play that one in a few hours and get it.
Alex, can you explain to me what the little difference of the social dynamics, 2 different types of people you would be talking to?
I mean, so the personalities are all diverse. It's just a bunch. Sometimes they're people that are other merchants. Sometimes it's just random people you meet along the road. There's a lot of variety to that, but there's just categories of each symbol. Some involve very direct, just matter of fact conversation. Some are just very empathetic, emotional types. But it's not the conversations themselves are not represented through it's the symbols just represent their personality types, not specific conversation trees.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just you have to have the right cards for their personality and what they're going to bring to the conversation.
I feel like there's a game that was like this, and I can't place it. Where you're matching mood, kind of. Like
I think I know I know what you're talking about, but I can't place it either.
Yeah.
I wish I could, but yeah, it's a type of thing I've seen done elsewhere, just not quite like this. And it just seems it was a novel approach. I'm into it so far.
Sounds interesting to me just because of the social skills aspect of it. I wonder, not necessarily with this game, but if there's some way, if this is a type of game, because with like my son has autism and people who have different problems dealing with different social skills, I think something like this might be engaging to him. I don't know if this is necessarily the one, but it might. Maybe
you should try it out. It's cheap. I think it's only like $5 or $10. And it's on. I got it on itch, but I think it's on other PC platforms as well. And it's like I said, it's not a big time investment.
Souls of the Sojourner, is that what it was?
Sorry. Signs of the Sojourner.
Signs of the Sojourner. Okay.
Yeah.
Bacalar.
Hey.
What is happening over there?
Hey. Obviously a lot of Cyberpunk. I thought I'd be done, so I decided to stream Bug Snacks the other night. And I played with my son, and we streamed it together, and it was a fun Saturday night for people of all ages. And we did not make it to the end.
What?
But I just want to call, I don't want to call you out, but I feel like you did something to him. And he is now holding on to this secret that we know is not a secret because I have ears and they work. And I was right there when you told him this secret. And he thinks that like he has this amazing insider information.
Yeah.
We're playing it the whole time. And he's like, Dad, I got to tell you something that Vinny told me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, come on. Just, Anyway, that game, I think I'm enjoying it more because he likes it so much.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's
so if you don't mind, like without, I mean, it's not really that much to spoil, but have you made it? Have you made it to the last? You haven't made it to the last party.
No,
okay.
We haven't made it to the last party. We're just kind of dicking around with Egbert on the top of the peak.
Okay.
Fucking Egbert.
Yeah, just getting the getting like the statues to line up and all that stuff, and stepping on the panels and whatever. Yeah, but like that game's fun. I think like my wife hadn't seen any of it really, and she sat down and she was hanging out for the stream, and she's like, "Oh, this is interesting. Like all these people's relationships and how they kind of don't really like each other, but they're like forced to just like sit down by the campfire and pretend to be amicable and whatnot." So that's it's there's something about it. I am just I'm kind of digging it more than I thought I would on the outset. I thought I was going to bounce off it.
Can't wait to see you finish that game.
Honestly, so in the chat, like people are like, "Hey, make sure your kid's not around at the end of this game." And I'm just like, "What do you mean? What's about to happen?" Because let me tell you something. This game is very kid friendly throughout the entirety of the experience. Don't tell me that the end of the game is somehow like going to turn into fucking Die Hard or something like that.
Like, Die Hard's not so bad.
All right, no, like I know what the ending to that game is, and here's what I'll say: is
it like existential? Is that what?
I mean, kind of. It reminds me more of the slightly more subversive kids entertainment that maybe I grew up when I was younger, before they really kind of just sanded all the edges off of kids entertainment.
Be specific. What does that mean? Like Ren and Stimpy, or like what is?
It's less overtly gross than Ren and Stimpy, but I do think that there is like a slightly darker tone to what they end up doing with the end of that game. And I think if I had run into that as a kid, it might have blown my tiny mind, but not in a way that would have ruined me or made me really unhappy. Just I would have been asking my parents, why did that happen? What is going on? Yeah. But again, I think it just sort of depends on like what his tolerance for like slightly bleak and slightly darker kid stuff might be.
If you want to talk about it, I'll tell you what it is off air. Like if you want to really, if you're concerned.
I don't know. Part of me wants to be surprised.
Okay.
But,
I don't think it's. I think it's kind of a fun, wild swing from what I could tell, because I've only played a little of that game, even though I know what the ending is, and it's just it's a swing from where they start out.
Okay, all right.
It's
Yeah,
it's
I'm
it's a
expecting some, drastic 180 for sure.
it's a couple of things. So
It's a pivot. It's a pivot.
Well, there's like two things that I'll having talked to Dylan, I know what his concerns are, but there are things that he's
He
not
was
bringing
like,
up.
I need, and it was so funny. He's like, I need to talk to Vinny because apparently you're the.
Are
only
you guys just
person-
having weekly Zoom calls? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, we
Basically.
get together. We play Call of Duty together, and we just kind of talk about stuff.
You're like, wait. After he spoke to you that time, I was like putting him to bed. He's like, come here, come close. I'm like, what's up, man? What's up, little buddy? He goes, you want me to tell you what Vinny told me? I'm just like, get out of here, you little shit.
But you did overhear what I told him, clearly.
He said you're not my real dad.
Well, there was that, and also like, I just love the little,
Yeah.
it's just so funny how he's just, the way he's interacting with this thing.
He
we're
would
playing-
not. Every time he'd come in the room, he was so excited. He'd be like, Vinny.
yeah,
All right, Dad, whatever.
just takes
Vinny,
over the conversation.
You gotta tell me what happens at the end of Bugsnax. Vinny.
Cares so much.
So,
Everything's-
Dad, stop. You're like, oh, Dylan, we're
He's like,
talking.
Dad, enough with this. Let's go.
Dad, whatever. I understand you're doing a podcast. Vinny, gotta let me know.
He pulls the mic close to him.
Buddy, it's adorable.
So yeah, and then what else am I playing? Thank you to everyone last week about the Ninja Turtles arcade advice. I'm also getting, man, I don't even know if I should be talking about this yet, just because I don't know a lot about this product. But CES is coming up, and believe it or not, they're actually doing it. And I mean, I don't even know what that even means. Like, how the hell do you have CES? They're like, no one's going to Vegas. Anyway,
Wait, so they are holding a show in Vegas, like with a show floor?
Are you gonna have Zoom calls with the refrigerators? What the fuck?
Is everybody going to be in a hamster ball? Because that could be fun.
You fucking laugh, Alex, but yeah, I mean, that is what I know your face right there, where like one eye got big and one got little, like that's the right face, because it is just like vendor insanity. Like
Okay.
what CES is right now, or what it's going to look like, man. Anyway, there's a company that is they are like doing a full-size arcade cabinet, and it apparently has like 64 gigs worth of old school retro arcade games.
Oh, that can't be legal.
Onto it. And that was my thing. I'm like, where is this originating? Like, and they're like, no, Illinois. Like, so
all the legal, where all the legal stuff is, clearly.
is that like a ROM safe house the way Delaware is for like
That's right.
corporations? Like, I don't know, but apparently you get away with anything you want if you live in Illinois. So they're sending it to me, and I'm like, hey, I'll play with it if you got
If I get
Look,
arrested, it's on you.
as long as this isn't gonna get the fucking FBI raiding my house, yeah, sure, okay.
I mean, they got bigger fish to fry, I feel like. Also, this morning, I get a knock on the door, and it's another pinball machine.
Like at your door?
Yeah, just like with a note.
Like
Hey,
lost
like-
puppies now, they
Yeah.
just find
Yeah,
you.
it's just
They
like,
just
I
do.
heard
And
this
I'm
from
like,
Jeff
taking people-
Bakalar's home for wayward pinball machines.
And I was like, oh, what's your name? What's your little name? We
Um,
could take you in. But
Oh,
we only have room for one more.
sorry,
Um,
friends.
What did you know this was coming?
So, okay, I knew this was coming, but I did not know today. I didn't
Mhm.
even know it was shipped out.
What a
I mean, look,
life
I'm not
you lead.
mad. I'm not mad, but
You sound mad.
Wait, hold
well,
on a
I'm
second.
just like,
There's
if I
a-
wasn't home, I wouldn't have been here. Like, well, that's how that
Oh,
works.
hold on. Did you guys hear that? It must be my Ferrari. Oh gosh, another
Dude,
one.
don't
Where am I
compare
gonna?
a pinball machine to a
Where am I
fucking
gonna put
Ferrari.
them? Jeez, they
Yeah,
just
you're right.
outta
Pinball
here.
machines are much cooler.
they just
No,
won't
they're
stop
not.
showing up.
I'd rather have the Ferrari. Yeah.
No,
I
no,
think
you know what? The maintenance on a Ferrari is actually worse than a fucking pinball machine.
Where
so
are
you
gonna,
don't want that.
Where are you gonna take the Ferrari these days? You're gonna be afraid to drive it. You need like a whole Ferrari. You're like a car person at that point, right?
Well,
now
did
you've got a
I get it?
Ferrari.
Did I get it with like I don't have to pay tax on it? Like
You
how
gotta
does that
pay
work?
insurance on it. I bet insurance on a Ferrari is expensive. Insurance on a Ferrari is probably more than I paid for my entire Prius in a year.
Well, yes, Vinny. I think goes.
So
without
that's what I'm saying.
That's
It's like
probably-
you got to live this lifestyle now. Then you have to commit. Now you're like a
Is that
car
what
person.
happens? Like when you
Yeah.
win, like if you win a fancy car, like the insurance on it doesn't even make it worth it. So you're
No,
just like,
dude,
fuck it.
you get a car like that. It's like the Seinfeld orgy guy bit. Like you become an orgy guy, your whole lifestyle changes. You become a Ferrari guy, your entire lifestyle starts revolving around the Ferrari, the maintenance of the Ferrari, showing off the Ferrari. You have to get Ferrari friends. It's a whole thing. It's not good.
Just get yourself an IROC Z and be happy and
Nice.
and live that life.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Anyway, pinball machine shows up.
What was
It's the Guns N' Roses.
oh, you knew that. We knew this was coming.
I knew, but I didn't
Yeah.
think it was going to be here
Okay.
today, and it did surprise me. And it was a good thing I was around to receive it, and I'm stoked. I'm not going to be able to open it until maybe over the weekend, but
Did the note on it say "Welcome to the jungle"?
it actually
You're gonna die.
Oh
I
no!
started
Hope the
to
note didn't
jiggle
say
it.
that.
and there's a little hole in the box. I started to jiggle it, and Slash just put his eye through the hole, and he's like, "You're gonna fucking open this up or what?" I'm just like, "You gotta get
Wow,
it Saturday."
that's
Slash.
extra wild because you never see Slash's eyes.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like,
That's the whole point of Slash.
He just lowered his sunglasses, and I'm just like, okay, cool. I threw in a burrito. He'll be cool to.
What's for
Saturday.
dinner?
And then so that'll be exciting. I'm pumped, man. People are loving this game. So
Do you
It'll be
think like it's a Guns N' Roses pinball machine, but does it have like their entire catalog? I assume it
I
plays
think-
songs, right? Like at some
yeah,
point.
of course. So the theme of the game is that it's like a concert. It's like a tour.
Okay.
And I think you like travel to different cities in the game, and it's like I think some of it is also like you conducting like the stage show, so like you
Okay.
hitting like pyro and like hitting like other things like that, which might be cool.
So
But yeah, I think there's a ton of their catalog, and also their voice recordings too, exclusively for the game.
well, I look forward to watching your very muted Twitch streams from your
Yeah,
Guns
It's
N'
gonna be
Roses
quiet.
pinball.
It's gonna be real quiet.
table.
Oh, we'll talk a little about that later.
Yeah, we've got actually in the questions later on. We have both pinball and a lot of the other stuff. We'll get to that later. But you guys ready to take a break, and we'll come back with some of the news that's floating around there. It actually seems like the section is filled out. So
Cool.
talk about some stuff. Everybody ready for our first break?
Yes.
Do it.
As I ask myself that, am I ready for the first break? No, I wasn't. All right. Everybody watching live, stick tight. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'm going to play the music now. And we are back. Hello. We're back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Oh hey. Oh hello.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Oh.
It was fun when we went to break, because it'll be in the recording. We went to break. The first thing all of us said, well, we after we faded back was, "Oh, Alex, that sigh definitely made it onto the recording." That's the first break sigh. But
it seems like you're holding on to that mental stability so tightly, and you get a chance to let loose a little bit.
Oh, I'm tightly bound, man. I'm just.
Well, let's unwind a bit with some news from the world. I'm sure this first story here, Alex, that you have pulled will get you just relaxed and in your easy going place.
I mean, in the way that scream therapy is good for, making sure that you can kind of unwind and relax. Yeah, totally.
Alex, why does the government want to be in my games?
The government wants a lot of things these days. None of it good. So here's a brief preamble for this for anyone who maybe is not familiar with the American government and its various ways in which it is dysfunctional. Oftentimes, when emergency budgets need to be passed in this country, which has been a surprisingly frequent problem over the last several years, people in government will try to ram new laws, new things.
Tack on some stuff.
They will tack on some pork to
Yes.
whatever that budget bill ends up being. And in this current run up to the current emergency funding that they are trying to do, U.S. Senator Tom Tillis, I don't care if that's how you pronounce his first name. That's just what I'm going to say. From North Carolina has proposed a bill that will make streaming any kind of copyrighted material without expressed permission a felony, which it is not currently in the United States. Right now, even in the most egregious examples, it is a misdemeanor offense. And here it would essentially be a felony. And
yeah, it seems reasonable, Alex. I don't know.
That's fine. Yeah.
So some of the examples they use here are, songs, like streaming album stuff on YouTube, having a licensed song somewhere in the background of an Instagram video, streaming things on Twitch that maybe have some copyright materials, like say parts of the soundtrack from Cyberpunk that maybe they didn't actually put under that feature that is supposed to mute the songs that are copyrighted in Cyberpunk.
Hold on. You're describing felonies.
A felony?
Yes, I'm describing felonies.
A felony, something that will be on your record forever.
I think that actually has prison time attached to it.
Will prevent you, from voting or anything. A known felon who streamed some music.
Yeah, and deep down inside, you were bad for doing it.
Yes, I should be in prison. Every time I stream Rock Band, I think about the jail sentence that I'm about to incur. So here's the thing. Don't know if this is actually going to pass as is. There's a 50-50 shot at this point, I'd say, of it getting stripped out.
That's it?
Well, I don't. That's the thing. I have no fucking idea. Is the thing. But what I know is that nobody likes this. This doesn't sound great. The only people who do like it are probably the people who are donating to Tillis's re-election PAC, which includes the Motion Picture Association, Sony Pictures, Universal Music Group, Comcast, and NBC Universal. The kind of people that would say, "What if it was a felony to stream our stuff?"
Well, isn't it?
Just regular Joes.
Hey, don't copy that VHS tape. Yeah,
don't copy that floppy.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. We got to bring our
FBI warning.
Our Washington correspondent. But don't they propose stuff like this knowing it's not going to happen, but to just like move the needle?
Well, I think part of the reason you ram it into something like this is you would not get bipartisan support for something like this on its own.
Right.
But if you make it part of an emergency budget measure, and maybe people aren't scrutinizing it as hard as they should be, which that's also probably a coin flip at this point when it comes to our government.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't necessarily think this thing is going to pass, but it's indicative perhaps of where some of these interests, especially in corporate America, would like things to go.
It's a gross part of our system.
When people fucking screamed at you to vote, right? In November, like it's not just to
me in particular. Yes, they were screaming
Alex,
at me.
When you
some of them didn't scream at you. Some of them got naked and sang songs at you.
I didn't get those TikToks, but maybe we can talk after the show. No, I just feel like you want to vote because you want to get people who understand how the fucking internet works in a position of authority.
I mean, that's not the sole
end in November. I'm saying,
it's not the sole guiding force in what gets me to vote someone or not. But yes, totally.
I'm saying, like, it doesn't just apply in November, right? Like, it's a thing you always have to. You need to represent someone who understands more than just what they see in front of their face, right?
Yes, and also who is funding their re-election PACs.
You can't just buy the Nordic track. You got to use it every day. Got to use it every day. That's exactly what you were saying.
What does that have to do with? Wait,
you're saying are you talking about the exercising of the right to vote? Is that what you're talking about?
You nailed it. Picked up what I put down. That's why I love doing this podcast, because it's just like you float things out there and they can't stay up in the air.
See, I was all unwound. I was all unwound from that. Now I'm wound back up.
I'm right there with you.
I was gonna say, look at the pose he's got.
So yeah, this is bad, but it's a thing. It's a thing that happens a lot, and it's a thing that happens because. Okay, all right. Well, whatever. It's bad and it shouldn't happen, but yes.
Tell us why it happens.
It happens because people there's too much money in politics, and they're like, hey, you want my support for this bill? I'm gonna stuff this thing in here, and everybody's gonna stuff their pork in there, and then they're like, you want me to support this thing? And then keep this thing in there. Money from my state, money from my backers, and that's how they hold leverage over this stuff, and that's ridiculous, and it shouldn't happen that way. And that's
No, it's bad, but you made it sound delicious.
Yeah, I kind of want some stuffed pork now.
Whatever this is, I want to eat it now.
Yeah.
Like why is this even a part of it? This should be a felony. He's trying to stuff this thing into an emergency bill and be like, what the hell is this even doing here, dude? And be like, well, I guess you got fined for putting this in because you're an idiot. That's what should happen.
That would be quite the turnaround right there.
Right.
Now Thumb's going to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, he probably should, but maybe not for this reason. We'll see.
What's up next?
Oh God, let's see. A lot of these are quick hits. So we did joke about this, but it was officially, more or less officially confirmed that not only is Halo Infinite not coming until 2021,
Wait, what?
it is now coming in fall 21. It will not be an early year release for the Series X. It will be a fall holiday season release for the Series X.
Hold on to them monster cans, baby.
Get your Doritos ready. Start stockpiling.
That means it could be a year from today.
It could be.
I mean, you know,
Launch it.
just a heads up. Just a heads up how calendars work, motherfuckers. That's
yeah. No, there's a wide
tip.
range, and I mean, technically, we're in winter now. So ideally, if they're saying fall, they
we're
would
not.
be saying
This is not winter.
we're not winter yet.
No, winter's
December.
in like a
Oh, come
week and a
on.
half.
Don't be silly.
Look, it
weeks.
snowed
be-
yesterday. It's fucking winter.
This is not like a winter is not a moving target. It's
Hold
not
on,
like
hold
a
on.
variable.
The
date.
solstice hasn't happened officially yet, so we are not at the longest day of the year.
All I'm saying is today is a day in the fall.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not
Vinny,
like
I'm on yours.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm on Vinny's side with this, but you can't be a stickler about someone's personality quirks when you just made that joke you made a little bit
Yeah.
ago. You
Well,
gotta let
I didn't
things
take
go.
out like my sextant and then like check the astral sign and be like, well, technically by the math, it is not a good
That
time
is
for a Nordic
not
track
the
joke.
Same thing as the Four Seasons. You crazy asshole. That's not how it works.
Okay, Christmas is in like 2 weeks. Hanukkah is tonight. You're telling me this is all happening in the
Hanukkah
fall?
sometimes in November. What do you want from me? Don't even go there. Ron, you can't talk about it. You have one season, and that's all it is.
The California season.
It's the best shorts in the winter.
Wow. Happy winter, everybody.
Yeah.
What's next, Alex? Well, so wait. Let's just reiterate. Yes,
Yeah, what were we talking about?
the main point.
Halo.
Basically, a year from now.
No, I think we covered it.
like a nice winter blanket.
1 year from today.
Yeah,
1 year from today.
that's right,
We're calling it.
That's right. What's up, Alex? What's next?
The Miles Morales, the Spider-Man game, I played through it. I liked it a lot. I played it primarily on the look nice mode, not as much the frame rate mode, because I like that ray tracing. I like the way that game looks in high detail.
Yes.
So they have added a hybrid mode, which is not the maximum resolution and is not the maximum amount of ray tracing, I don't think, well, so it's 60 frames a second, and it does have ray tracing, but I think the resolution is reduced to a degree that it definitely does not look as good as it does in full detail mode. You know what I mean?
Here we go. I don't know.
Here we are, man.
I like what's options are good, I guess, but this is almost getting too much. Like, what mode are we? Because at some point, it's a slide into just straight up PC configuring options, right? And maybe that's a good thing, but maybe that's all. Which version of the game?
Well, I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
Yeah.
Finish your thought.
Well, at some point, you release for consoles. The part of the joy of consoles is you put the game in, and everybody's looking at the same thing, and you have a unique but unified experience across these consoles. Now, with a third option for playing these games, it feels like maybe we should just settle on what your vision of the game should be.
I think this will be less of an issue once we're out of these games need to work on two different platforms era, which I assume we were probably a year or two. I mean, look, FIFA will come out on fucking PS4 for the next decade, but other than that, like, I think we're maybe a year or two away from them just focusing on the current hardware.
Here's why I disagree with everything I just heard.
Okay.
Don't forget, like, people have a lot of different kinds of televisions now.
Mhm.
And I think that is a thing that is taken into consideration with all this. Before, for a long time, everyone had CRTs, right? And then we all had like either 720 or 1080p, but now there is a larger gamut. There's a larger variety of stuff. And I think, look, it's not like something coming out like this, right, is not necessarily, it doesn't equate to like a massive, like, a detour in development. Like, it's just a performance setting, right? So like in the same way as you configuring a game on PC, I know you all have the same hardware, but the actual display is what the variable is. And I think for some modes, it looks better on, depending on what you're playing on. And I think having that option is good.
But
I don't have a problem with options. It's just that I do kind of want there to be a little bit more of a unified experience going forward. Like I understand that maybe you can't make everything run at 60 frames a second with full resolution and full ray tracing and all that stuff turned on, but I'd like you to find the medium and just have that.
Sounds like this is the medium.
Yeah, but you're not getting a drastically different version of the game, or depending on what you're playing.
Yeah,
like,
but shouldn't the console in the year of our Lord 2021, right? Shouldn't a console be like, oh, you've plugged this into a 720p monitor.
Oh, I
don't need to render 4K. Like I will just render the 720p's, or at least at the most 1080, right? Why would that have to be an option you select?
Of course, and your PS5 shouldn't also download the PS4 version of the game inexplicably.
You're giving them a pass, Bacalar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, guess what?
What?
We're in the future and nothing works.
Oh, I played Cyberpunk. I've seen it.
Everything's broken.
Tiny trees
right?
everywhere.
And guess what? When I was a kid, I used to fantasize about the future and being like, oh, I can't wait till all this shit works. Guess what?
It doesn't
work.
What are you talking about? You just had somebody knock on your door to deliver a pinball machine. You're telling me that kid isn't like,
It's not the same thing.
Wow, this
I gotta
sucks.
bring
This
the positive. You guys are all going too negative on it.
Yeah, Ron,
the
get us
options
back.
are good, and
Yeah.
if it depends if it was a bad game, and when we were playing on the full ray tracing on and everything, that the game ran horribly. It doesn't. It's fine. It feels great. That's how I played most of the game. I put on the 60 sometimes, and it felt even better. And I wish that it could be like that all the time. I've tried the new one last night, and it was a nice happy medium. And I really like it, but they're all three good options, so I don't see a real problem with that. It's been if one of them was like, well, this just makes it horrible, but they're all good. I mean, still personally, I still think if you have the TV for it and you have everything, I like it in the full quality mode, because with the new one, it does remove some of the density of the population, and that's one of the things I loved about this new Spider-Man. It's the first time where I played a game in New York where I was like, oh yeah, this is like the right amount of people walking around New York.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the options.
I think
Vinny, we've been defeated
by
Yeah, it
positive.
turns out you guys are wrong, huh?
Well, so okay, you ruined it when I was just going to say defeated by positivity is a fine thing, but then you pal around with this Bacalar guy. He's just going to bring you down.
I like throwing some sharpness in with it.
This burrito is great. It tastes delicious, but man, it just burned the top of my mouth right off. I have to suffer for it to get there. Alex, what's next?
Quick resume. That's a feature that Microsoft touted fairly heavily for their new console. And then when the system launched, most of the games that were supposed to support it did not, because they found some bugs in it. So up to this point, the only game I've actually had Quick Resume just like regularly working on was Yakuza. Everything else, like including Assassin's Creed, which originally had it and then didn't.
Really?
They took it out because it was buggy. Like there were some problems with it. But now that stuff is apparently starting to roll back in. They've done some system updates. They've done some things. And it sounds like, at least in some of those launch games that had it and then didn't have it, that stuff, if it isn't back yet, will be back soon. So Quick Resume, the much ballyhooed feature, will return better than ever, hopefully. That is a nice feature, I will say. It just booting up Yakuza, hitting the button, and it just be like, all right, you're back in the menu, go, is nice. I like it.
It's a great feature. I think it's my favorite feature of that system. I think each of the new systems has one particular strength that they should steal from each other. The controller, obviously, for the PS5, and then the Quick Resume for Xbox are both ones where I'm like, wow, I like the I don't want to go back from either of these things.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this fun moment. It was a fun dad moment. My kid's on a Zoom call with school, and they're in the small group session on the Zoom call, and they're talking about video games, of course, and not school. And they're talking, and my son's like, well, my dad's got the PS5. And the other kid is like, no, he doesn't. And he's like, yeah. He's got a PS5 and the new Xbox. He's like, and both the other kids are like, show us. He doesn't have it. You're a liar. and my son, bless his heart, made the right choice and said, I'm not leave class right now to go show you this thing. You can trust me or not. I'm not gonna get in trouble.
We'll FaceTime later. I'll point a phone at our fucking TV stand, and you can see.
And I was sitting in the other room because I gotta listen, because I gotta be teacher's aide sometimes and listen. And I'm like, hell yeah, you fucking you. I'll go get the controller. You could show him.
You prioritize that education, damn it.
Knock on the door.
Just slide it.
Let them know.
Yeah,
let them know.
That's right.
Tell them that they dad ain't doing it right.
Imagine Max was just like, do you even know who my dad is?
Give him a hoodie, throw a giant bomb hoodie at him, put this on. That was a weird one.
Congratulations on being the uncle that works at video games.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, that stuff's always fun to listen to.
It's still fun though. It still does feel like a little bit of a secret now, a club where you just have to keep your mouth shut so that people don't get mad at you even still.
Like what?
And I like that about it. You gotta,
yeah,
like, I'm not. Yes, I am blessed.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, truly. All right, Alex, anything else for the news?
Yeah, a couple of quick things here. Are you guys ready to get back to conventions?
No. We talk about CES. No. Well, okay. First of all, I miss seeing everybody, and I miss seeing everybody. I miss and I say seeing them because usually at conventions it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm really busy, but I miss seeing everybody. And that has really affected my year in a way I wasn't expecting as we get towards the end of the year and being like, man, I didn't get to see this. I only get to see a certain amount of people twice a year, E3 and PAX and stuff like that. And sometimes not even PAX. And I really miss all those people. And you know who you are if you're listening to this. And I miss you dearly. And I wish we could have seen you. But no, no, we can't. No, the convention's not yet.
Okay, well, maybe not yet, but the PAX organizers, in their infinite wisdom and let's say near desperation to get back to business as usual, have set some target dates for 2021 for the next PAX shows. Now, to their credit, they are not trying to push like March, like that show was normally in March, April. But they are saying loosely that they have reserved dates for June 3rd through 6th for PAX East and September, their usual September dates for PAX West.
That's ambitious.
It feels ambitious to me. It feels very ambitious.
Right there. I mean, I don't know about June right now.
I think that those people who run those events really need those events to happen again. So I don't necessarily fault them for like wanting it to happen. But I think we are a long way from anyone feeling confident about like making travel plans for June.
Can I ask the question?
Yes.
Are they planning to do it at the normal scale, or do they have plans to scale it back, make it smaller? Is it anything of that nature?
Nothing along those lines. They make a lot of allusions here to understanding, I think, how challenging these times are, and that they are cognizant of the challenges that are in front of them, but there is nothing in there about like, oh, we're moving to a smaller venue, we're having fewer people, anything like that. It is more like, hey, we're just going to wait a while and hopefully we can just do the show again.
That kind of leads me to believe that they don't even really believe that it's going to happen.
I think
if you're going to think it's going to happen, you're going to get out in front of it with messaging of like, I understand why you wouldn't want to come. Here's reasons and here's things that we're going to do to make it smaller. There will only be this number of tickets. There will be, this or that. But if they're not even doing that, to me, it's just kind of like, it seems more like wishful thinking, or maybe there's a contract in place that they have to announce that they're doing it.
Yeah, I think, it's probably more about just making sure they have dates reserved so that if everything goes right, they can do the show as planned. But my general feeling is that maybe we get to PAX West and that actually can happen. But June to me feels incredibly optimistic about people wanting to go be in a giant space with a shitload of people.
Totally.
Well,
At least you're gonna get your little library card that you had the vaccine.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Then they'll be counterfeiting those right before you go into.
What? Like, am I?
What's up?
Am I crazy that I thought this was just like gonna be maybe a little sort of more high tech than just like a fucking punch card that you got your vaccine? Like, I don't know. Like, I realize there's all this privacy issues with people's health records and identification, but like an encrypted thing that could like you could have that would prove that you were vaccinated for the purposes of like congregating in a large gathering? Like, was that too much to ask? Like, how did nobody try and like do this?
Do you
don't
hear
know.
what you're asking, considering what we've spent the last 9 months going through and the amount of disorganization around literally every aspect of this fucking pandemic?
Yeah.
Yes, but at the same time, we did make a vaccine. Like, we did do that.
Well, we
part of
didn't.
it.
We didn't do it.
No, I mean humanity. Like, you know, smart people.
That's a wide tent, man. But yeah, sure. I mean, yes, we
saying, like,
all alive humans should take credit for this vaccine.
Just saying, I thought we would have like I just thought we would have something, you know, that would like be able to like securely identify yourself as being.
I haven't even really looked into it because one, I'm not an essential worker, so I don't feel like if I don't need to be out there, then I don't need to be one of the first people getting this vaccine. So I haven't even really looked into it. I assume the process will even out over time, but right now it doesn't surprise me that it would be disorganized or not necessarily like, you know, as secure or detailed as you would like it to be.
I know, but we do amazing things in this world, but I guess not everything.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, but like I think by the time I'm worrying about people who have to show a card to get into a PAX convention, we're hopefully on the other side of something. You know, like if you're like,
sure.
Okay,
ideally,
yeah, like everybody who needed it
ain't
got
gonna
it.
Be June, let me tell you.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So we'll see.
One last piece of incredibly, terribly, horribly, no good, very bad news.
Oh, great, fantastic!
The worst news. We're ending 2020 on the worst possible note.
Oh.
Everyone is going to be fucking crestfallen about this.
Well,
I just know
this is gonna be a banger then.
Windjammers 2 is delayed to 2021.
Oh God.
Now, okay, winter or fall?
They don't say.
Well, then how am I supposed to know what week it is?
Well, it sounds like what the reason it's delayed, which I didn't even realize it was still scheduled to come out this year, but apparently it was. But they're still working on some of the netcode stuff, so that's necessitated some delays. But yes, Windjammers 2, the long-awaited sequel.
Oh boy, I remember.
Dave Lang's Windjammers 2 coming to you in 2021.
Move over, Halo. All right,
that's it.
Windjammers 2. Hope to see you soon. Should we take some emails and then get moving?
I think so.
I think so. We're going to take a quick break here. This isn't going to be a long one, so don't move. But we'll be back in just a minute. As soon as I get the music queued up for this one. Oh, it happened so quickly. All right. We'll be it always sneaks up on me. We'll be right back. And we are back. Told you it was going to be a quick one. And we've got emails going on here today. Today we have emails. If you want to email the podcast, you can at beastcast@giantbomb.com. That is beastcast@giantbomb.com. Now, I'm going to say we've been in the middle of some email transition stuff from the CBS to the Red Ventures. And the mailboxes have been getting a little messy. So if I lost your email, I'm sorry. There were 3 places to look, but I have pulled some. The emails are going to be a little shorter this week, but with some fun stories. Backlar, would you mind reading this very silly story from Elliot? We talked about Uri Geller last week, I believe, with the bending of the spoons and the Pokemon and the whole thing, and this one tickled me.
Hi, folks. Love the show. Just thought I'd share a story about the spoon bending Uri Geller. He's a wanted man in Scotland due to using psychokinesis during an important soccer game. During the 1996 Soccer European Championship between Scotland and England, Scotland was awarded a penalty. They were 1 goal down at the time against a much-fancied English team. Uri Geller claims he was approached by high-ranking British people who were concerned about England losing. He claims he was asked to fly in a helicopter above Wembley Stadium during the game. As Scotland's midfielder Gary McAllister was about to strike the ball for the penalty, the ball moved. This can be seen in the footage from the game actually happening. The penalty was saved by the English goalkeeper, and England went on to win 2-0. That's that. Making Uri Geller one of the most hated people in Scotland. That is fucking bananas.
So I looked up the
this is why
footage.
This is why the UK is where it's at politically.
You can look this up. And that ball moves.
I want to see the ball moving.
The ball moves.
Yeah, but it's not like fucking magic. Okay, so
You ever heard of wind?
yeah, you ever heard of that shit?
Who am I to judge?
I want to
a
believe
reasonable
I want
person.
to believe it's magic.
Yes.
All right.
I want to believe a little man in a helicopter moved the soccer ball.
Yeah. And that nobody looked above the stadium and was like,
Right.
why is there a helicopter just hovering above us right
10
now?
feet above us. That's
You're telling me
weird.
this is not restricted airspace? That seems weird.
Alex, why don't you read this next one from Mike?
All right. This one from Mike says, this question is for Alex. In a previous episode, you mentioned you were a big David Cronenberg fan. What films of his have you seen, and which would you say are your favorite? I particularly enjoy Scanners and Videodrome. Yeah, those are two that I would certainly pick. I also really liked The Fly. The Fly is a disgusting classic if you are into very disgusting movies, and I am. I would say those are probably my top three personally. You know, Crash, which just came out on the Criterion Collection, is a real piece of work. And I'm not talking about the racist movie. I'm talking about the one where the sexy car crashes. That's a real wild piece of work if you've never seen it. And Existenz is one of those
Man.
great movies of the 90s that tried to do VR video game type drama stuff that is not wholly successful, but the ways in which it is unsuccessful are still fascinating.
That movie. That's
Jude
Jude
Law is
yeah.
always like finding himself in like all that shit. You know?
They plug the VR thing into their belly button or something, don't they? Is that what happens? Oh,
Yeah.
man. That's me. I'm going to mention right now for those watching the recording of this video, Alex's screen occasionally just does
Cyberpunk.
it's full-on thing. It is not an encoding or rendering error in the post-processing. It is all natural happening
It's
live.
so weird because
right
I
here.
never see it on my end.
No, they never
weird.
do. Anybody else have any Cronenberg business they want to add here?
I saw that. What was the Megalopolis? What is it called?
Oh, Cosmopolis?
Yeah. That
I haven't
was-
seen that yet.
Yeah. I mean, I like, you know, Scanners like you said, but yeah, that you know, it's definitely a certain taste. That's for sure.
His son actually just put out a movie this year that was fairly well regarded called Possessor. That is about a woman who becomes a hired killer, and her way of killing people is occupying the consciousnesses of people and using their bodies to kill people. And it is apparently
I remember that on the GameCube.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that GameCube game. And I am told that it is very much in the Cronenberg tradition of being really cool and also deeply disgusting. So if you're into that, check it out.
Release the Cronenberg cut of Bugsnax. That's what I want to see. Yeah.
Okay.
But wait until
that's a little too.
You haven't finished it yet.
I don't know. Okay. I think that was a hint though.
Bacalar, this one, so that one specifically for Alex. I think this one specifically for you, Jeff Bacalar.
Hey, Beasters, I've been debating if I should take the plunge into getting a pinball machine or not. I've been eyeing the remake of Attack from Mars from a few years ago, and they're getting harder to find, but I'm worried about the lifetime of maintenance and care needed, even if it's a new machine. Can you describe how much leveling or care you need to put into a new machine as part of setting it up? That's from Alice. Alice, you should not, dissuade yourself from owning a new pinball machine because of the maintenance. Because new pinball machines don't really require that much maintenance. You'll level it once, it's done. I mean, you know, if you, it's the acquiring of like a 30-year-old machine. Maybe it's possessed or something like that,
right. Or they're not
where
free.
That becomes an issue, and they're not free, and you have to invest $500 to $600 in just learning how to solder and wire shit up and doing that kind of thing. But new games, especially this remake, and Attack from Mars is like one of the most popular games, highly regarded games of all time, so you're definitely getting the right game. New stuff is pretty easy, aside from like just a little elbow grease of cleaning and waxing that thing a couple times a year. Like, you're gonna be real happy with the amount of maintenance you won't have to do on a new pinball
Wow.
game. I mean,
Solid man.
Ron's getting a couple. We
Wait,
talked
what?
about
Are you
that.
getting a couple of pinball machines?
Oh, are you expecting?
Yeah.
No, not yet. We'll see.
You getting that knock on your
Um,
door from the Guns N' Roses machine? Gonna come around?
I need to forward some of these somewhere. So, but yeah, it's yeah. Take the plunge if it's a thing you really want. And again, like you got to really want this. It's not cheap, and it's
Yeah.
big, and it really takes up a lot of your house. So you got to really want it.
Would you? Did they rent them to personal people?
Yeah.
Like to the okay, maybe that's a way to start.
I mean, yeah, I mean they started doing that. When COVID happened, a lot of arcades were renting out their machines. I don't know if that's still a thing, but you could have always rented, pinball machines for parties or whatever it is.
Because
I mean, if you get people who know how to move them, they're in and out in 20 minutes.
Because I almost feel like it's you'd want to like one of those like a car you like lease to own kind of thing where it's like, you know what, I want this for 2 years, but I don't want this forever. So let me lease this pinball machine, put some equity into it, and maybe I can trade it in and get the money back or a different pinball machine.
I'm sure someone out there does that. I just wonder, like, I'm just trying to do the math real quick in my head of like what they could get away with charging you on a monthly basis to make it cost effective
for them.
Right. Because for them. So I don't know if that's, I mean, look, like it's not, these things, I think that Attack from Mars is, the base one comes in at like $7,000. So like,
that's a lot of money.
It wouldn't be a cheap monthly thing is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, cars are expensive too. So,
yeah.
All right. So this is wrapping back all around here. We got Jeff's pinball, welcome to the jungle stuff. Now, Alex, back to you with a welcome to the jungle question from Chris.
Oh,
okay.
You mean Guns N' Roses? Got it.
Guns
Well, as a welcome to the jungle expert, hopefully I can answer.
Okay.
Hi guys, this question is for Alex, of course. I've been wondering, what was up with that early Rock Band video featuring people playing Welcome to the Jungle, even though it was never in the game? I did some digging around and found it to make sure I wasn't crazy, and then they linked to the video, and I just looked at it. I had totally forgotten about this, but it does exist. So I think I actually do know the answer to this question. Yes, there was a very early video that showed footage of Harmonix employees, Helen and Anna Keith and a couple of other people, playing Welcome to the Jungle in a very early looking version of Rock Band that was not the final version of it. I can't remember if it was actually released or if it was just something that leaked out. But whatever it was, they had a bunch of songs in the very early builds of those games that were never intended for release. It was really like pitch video type stuff. So like there was like Rolling Stone stuff in there they never licensed. There were a couple of other things they kind of kicked around that were just like, hey, what songs would we want in this game? So let's just kind of build around that. So that stuff was never intended for release. It was really just like, this is proof of concept. This is us, how we want this experience to look, what kind of music we want in it. So again, that video was out there, and I think enough people saw it that they rightfully thought that maybe that song would eventually make its way to the game, and it never did. Thanks, Dan Reichert. But
oh right,
yeah, it's all Dan's fault. But yeah, I think that thing was never intended as like this song is absolutely in the game. It was very much like early concept. Here is us showing off, possibly to retailers and also to maybe press, what the concept of this game is and what it will be.
All right. I love it. I love it when we can do the inside scoop stuff. That's
there's exactly one company I can do that with, so I'm always happy to help.
I love it. All right, we got one more quick story here, and Alex, I'm going to give this one to you because you were talking a bit about this last week. And
I can hear that lawnmower now.
You can. Sorry, I'll make it turn my mic down. There they go with a lot of leaves this fall. All right.
Okay.
There we go, Alex. Why don't you read this one?
All right. I'll tell this story here from Greg. Greg says, on a recent episode of the Beastcast, Alex mentioned he owns a Satan, pronounced something like Shatan.
Yes, Miroslav Shatan.
Yeah, Buffalo Sabres jersey, and it reminded me of an event I hadn't thought about in a long time. This happened in the late 90s when I was in 8th grade. I live in Buffalo. My class somehow managed to convince the Buffalo Sabres to give us a jersey we could auction off at one of the bake sales we were running to fund our class trip. They gave us a Satan jersey signed. I I went to a Catholic school. We did our bake sales in the church lobby on Sundays right after Mass. I don't remember why, but for some reason, I was the one responsible for telling the priest we had a Sabres jersey for sale in addition to the usual baked goods. I asked if he could announce it after Mass. He took the jersey from me and said he'd be happy to. We had Mass, and afterwards, the priest told everyone he had an announcement. He told them we had a special item for sale, then grabbed the jersey and held it up for the congregation to see. The audience was still. The priest looked at what he was holding, confused when he didn't get the reaction he was expecting. I will never forget the look on his face. Total horror. Then he found me in the audience, and it turned to pure rage. He crumpled up the jersey and stormed down the aisle without another word. It took me a minute to realize what happened. Everyone always said the name Shaitan, and it never occurred to me to read it any other way. The priest was pretty steamed about the whole thing, even after he learned it was just a mix-up. He forbade me from any future bake sales for being held in the church. We sold the jersey for a few $100, had a great trip, and I got out of having to go to church for the rest of the year, so it worked out okay.
Wow. 2 things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Satan's always going to get you.
Yep.
Just watch out. Satan's always going to get you. And 2, the fucking Sabres knew exactly what they were doing.
I mean, he was also their best player at the time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like
in the late 90s, early aughts, like he was the best guy on the Sabres for at least a few years there.
I mean, if I'm working in the PR office of the Buffalo Sabres and a Catholic school is asking for a jersey, they're getting a jersey that says the word Satan on it.
You think? Well, my third question is like, Greg, you knew what you were doing. Come on.
Yeah, Greg knew.
Greg,
Greg
you knew what you knew. You were.
He was the
I
mole.
believe Greg knew.
You're in league with Satan, aren't you, Greg? Aren't you?
Fine.
Yeah, he's been going to Catholic school the whole time.
Yeah.
He's like, I never saw this word before.
Weird.
Right.
Greg,
I don't even know how to read it.
Sitting there in a Devil's jersey. What? What? I don't even get it. Greg, come on, Greg. All right, that's going to do it for the emails. Thanks, everybody, for writing in. Beastcast at giantbomb.com to send those emails in. Hopefully, they're all hitting the inbox at this point. We're going to wrap up this show. We're going to start wrapping up this show by thanking Ron Funches for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Please follow me in all my endeavors that I do. I have a show called Top Secret Videos that is on True TVs at 10:30 on Thursdays and airs at other times or on demand. Please watch that because I'd like to keep that job. Other than that, just Twitch, Ron_Funches is the official account. Join the Funch Bunch. We have an official macaw. So please join us. Shout out to Paco the macaw. And other than that, I just hope it's, ronfunches.com, Ron Funches on everything. Come hang out with me.
Thank you so much, Ron. Ron, are you on Twitter?
Yeah, absolutely. At Ron Funches. I sometimes tweet jokes, but more likely it's about wrestling or random people I don't like, and then I get into Twitter fights.
Oh, fantastic.
So come on by. Or I often retweet Wario64 a lot if you're looking for deals.
Yeah, stealing some of that thunder. Yeah, well, follow me.
Positivity.
Follow me if you want
to
PS5.
It's called content aggregation. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, my podcast again. Getting better with Ron Funches. Listen to that. It's probably my wife's favorite thing that I do, and she's got good tests. So please listen to that.
All right, I gotta get out of here because I think they're literally just putting a leaf blower into my basement at this point. So
finally,
Alex Navarro, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start the music here, and oh boy, here it goes. I can't stop.
All
this
I can
now.
hear is lawnmower now, man.
Yeah. Jeff Bacallard, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I should have started this music 1 minute ago. That's my problem. You can go tune into the site. We got a lot of stuff on the site. If you want to see more Cyberpunk stuff, we got like a 2-hour quick look at that thing up. Jeff Bacallard, Jeff Gershman have about an hour discussion about it. If you want to see the evolution of Cyberpunk thoughts throughout the week, we have at least 3 or 4 things up. You can watch all of those. I played Assassin's Creed Syndicate with Ben Pack and Jenna Choa yesterday. I played some Scrap Mechanic with Brad Shoemaker. That was a lot of fun yesterday, too. If you're interested in checking that out. Here comes that leaf blower again. But good thing we only have 10 seconds left. Ron Funches, thank you very much again for coming here on the Giant Beastcast. Catch Ron on Twitch, Twitter, and on the podcasting waves. Thanks everybody for listening. If it's your birthday, happy birthday again. Happy first night of Hanukkah this winter. And we'll see you next. Here we go. I got 5 seconds to stretch it out. Next. 3, 2, 1 week.